Hey guys, welcome back to the Book and Beverage Review, where today we will be doing Tolkien Teatime. I didn't know that so many people, I don't get a lot of views in general, so I don't know what stuff people like, but apparently people really like my Tolkien Teatime series, so I have not finished the Unfinished Tales, so what we're going to do today is, I wanted to just talk a little bit about everything that I've absorbed from reading all the Tolkien series, and I also am going to unbox this afternoon tea candle from Aurorarivercandles. I'm very excited. So we have some Lord of the Rings merch, we have some tea. We're going to be doing this Hot Cinnamon Sunset by Harney and Sons. And we are going to read a little bit from the Fall of Gondolin. Without further ado, let's sip some tea and get into our Tolkien tea time. Tolkien tea time. So these I know are very flavored for a little bit. We're gonna let that sit. So Ashley actually messaged me and let me know. She's like, hey, your Tolkien Tea Time series inspired me to make a candle. And that's what this candle is. It's the afternoon tea candle. And that, of course, comes from the fact that the hobbits have 7 meals a day, and one of them is afternoon tea. And I'm so excited because this one is still just as fragrant as the day I bought it. I use it all the time. I always love these cards that she puts in here. Very exciting. Afternoon tea. Whee! White tea and sage, 9-ounce soy wax candle, hand poured in New York. Oh my gosh, this smells even better than the first one. Ooh, this is like a perfect, I know it's afternoon tea, but this is perfect to put in like your reading nook or your bathroom. Like, it's such a fresh scent. Ow. Just put my nose, like, I'm so excited to smell it. I put my nose in the flame, basically. I'm so stupid. Very cinnamony and very sweet. Like, it has a sweet aftertaste, and really good cinnamon does not taste bitter. It actually has a sugary aftertaste to it. That really packs a kick. It's super strong. Like, the cinnamon flavor is good, but then it has all that cinnamon fire to it, even though it's got the cinnamon sweetness too. So I'm still trying to figure out how I feel about it. So, I mean, like, I said this in my Fall of Gondolin video, but there was a really cool prophecy about Arda, and I'm going to read that one today. I just want to say that when I started doing this whole Tolkien legendarium thing, I didn't realize how big of a deal the Silmarillion was in these trilogies. In the Fall of Gondolin, Christopher Tolkien talks about how The Hobbit was a writing that came way later in J.R.R. Tolkien's writings, and it was something that was fun, but it wasn't the heart blood of Arda, right? So for me, I'm starting to really lean into the Silmarillion more, and I'm actually thinking about rereading it. In the Fall of Gondolin, Christopher says that The Lord of the Rings was the sequel to the Silmarillion. His father wanted to publish the Silmarillion first, and he wanted to publish the Lord of the Rings trilogy and the Silmarillion together. He felt like they were the same, that they were the same story, and that the Lord of the Rings was actually the conclusion of the Silmarillion, not the conclusion of The Hobbit. Why does this make a difference is because all the details that are in The Hobbit, it references a lot of things that happen in the Silmarillion. This is where his heart was to tell the story and maybe be a whole complete understanding of the history of parts of England. he felt like the part of the world that he was born in didn't have enough history to it, didn't have enough creation myths and things like you would go find in India or China or somewhere like that. He felt like a lot of the stuff that the English had inherited was all Anglo-Saxon. He wanted something that was uniquely specific to the location of where he lived and where he was born. And it makes me think a little deeper about how much the series meant to him and what exactly he wanted to do. I think that we look at it as like elves and wizards, you know, that's elves, wizards, dwarves, and it's fun and action and whatever. But I think for him, I think that as I'm starting to get into this, I'm starting to realize that he didn't feel like he created this world. He didn't feel like he had made the Legendarium. Faramir was not a character he felt he created. Faramir was a character he felt like he had seen in the world and was just recounting actual events that he was kind of having visions for. That makes this so interesting to me because I don't think he thought of it as a religious experience. And this calls back to something that's actually in this book here. But in the works of Plato, there's a part where Plato actually describes Socrates had at that time been considered brilliant. He was considered one of the smartest men alive by a lot of people in the city. And he didn't think of himself as intelligent. But when he would find himself meeting other people that were supposed to be intelligent, such as lawyers, or such as, I say lawyers, but really I mean like politicians or artists who created these phenomenal works, he had said that he didn't feel like they weren't particularly smart in the way that they dialogued, and they didn't analyze what exactly they were saying or the source of the things that they were speaking on. He did not see them as comprehending exactly what they were creating almost. He felt like when it came to art, that a lot of people were just inspired from who knows where, but they themselves did not possess the critical skills, the analytical skills, to create such profound works almost. And I think that's interesting for Tolkien. The reason why is because obviously I think of Tolkien as a genius, but there's this element, as I'm starting to uncover from these books, that Tolkien did not feel he created Arda. He was writing what he was seeing in his imagination, but like I said earlier, it was almost vision-like. Characters would pop onto the scene and they would speak, and he was recording what he was experiencing. I think that's very profound. I think that is indeed what true art is. I know a lot of people don't like Michael Jackson for whatever reason, but we can agree that Michael Jackson as an artist was a great artist, a great musician, right? And he had actually said that the problem with musicians is that they get in the way of the music. The music writes itself. They just have to be a conduit for it. That is the best thing an artist can do. And I'm beginning to find that any great artist or any great writer basically writes their inspiration. They just write. They stop thinking critically or analytically about something. They just write what they're seeing, what they're experiencing. They don't hamper the process. They're just honest about whatever's coming out of them. And that is what pure art is. And so for Tolkien, I think that's why his work was so phenomenal. He took that afflatus or inspiration and he just went with it. He didn't question it. He didn't argue with it. He didn't box it into a cage. He kind of just wrote. That's why he was so prolific in his manuscripts. It's almost seeming like a creator is given a story as opposed to choosing a story. Anyway, this is just a deep reflective video. I didn't know that we were going to get this deep. I want to read a little bit from the prophecy from the Fall of Gondolin. Thus spoke the prophecy of Mandos. which he declared in Valmar at the judgment of the gods. And the rumor, it was whispered among all the elves of the west, when the world is old, and the powers grow weary, then Morgoth shall come back through the door out of the timeless night, and he shall destroy the sun and the moon. But Arendelle shall come upon him as a white flame, and drive him from the airs. Then shall the last battle be gathered on the fields of Valinor. In that day Tolka shall strive with Melko, and on his right shall Fionwe, and his left Turin-Turambar, son of Hurin, conqueror of fate. And it shall be the black sword of Turin that deals unto Melko his death and final end, and so shall the children of Hurin and all men be avenged. Thereafter shall the Silmarils be recovered out of the sea, earth, and air, for Arendelle shall descend and yield up the flame that he hath had in keeping. Then Feanor shall bear the three, and yield them unto Yavanna Pelurian, and she will break them, and with their fire rekindle the two trees. And a great light shall come forth, and the mountains of Valinor shall be leveled, so that the light goes out over all the world. In that light the gods will again grow young, and the elves awake, and all their dead arise, and the purpose of Iluvatar be fulfilled concerning them. Such is the end of the tales of the days before the days in the northern regions of the western world. I guess I leave you guys with that. The prophecy at the end that the Silmarils will be retrieved. And how ironic is it that Feanor himself hands them over to Yavanna? That all things that were then set before were reversed, and that the world goes back to where it was. I wonder if Tolkien thought that was the history of what happened before the world as we knew it, our historical, like actual historical world was. You know, my opinion is that it's a beautiful ending to a wonderful story. As for a candle, I feel as though Rivendell is a little more fragrant than this one is, but this one, I like the scent of afternoon tea a lot better. I felt like it was a very spring, summery scent, and usually I don't attribute sage to that, but for me, it gave me like a really good, clean brightness to it. I hope that makes sense. As for a candle, it gets 5 stars, of course. I love these candles. And I just want to give a special thank you to Ashley. Again, I don't know. You make me feel good about making videos, and lately not a lot of people have been watching, so I don't know, it just inspires me to keep going, and I hope that this video inspires you to keep going because you're doing a great job. I love seeing you work, I love seeing your business grow, and I love supporting your business. So thank you so much. Pick up this candle. I will link her Etsy down below. As for this tea, I really like it. I'm going to give this a 4. I feel like it has a little bit of a punch to it, and it's okay, but in the quantity that I have it right now, it's not as good. I think with a little bit of honey and a little more water in my cup, I think I would have enjoyed this more, but it's still a very good tea, very fragrant, and something a little different. So this is, I'm going to give this a 4-star. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I look forward to sipping a beverage and getting into a new story with you soon. Take care.